The dreams of thousands of Tasmanian footy fans hanging in the balance as the political chaos in that state threatens to derail the country's newest AFL club. The Tassie Devils have become a political football after the Parliament passed a vote of no confidence in the Premier Jeremy Rockliff. For more, we are joined by Professor Tim Harcourt from UTS and the host of a brand new program here on Ticket called Footynomics. Great to see you, and perfect timing for some chaos.
Yeah, I mean, we set up a program, Footynomics, on the business of sport, thinking we'd get a nice discussion about footy. And
about how great everything's going.
Yeah, and we brought down a government, or someone did. So it's politics, it's economics,
I always
it's
knew that if they left you and I talking for long enough, we'd bring down a government somewhere in the world. I wasn't expecting it to be Tasmania.
Oh, yeah, I certainly wasn't expecting the week we've had, but it just shows the importance of sport in economics and politics. You really can't separate them.
What's it all about? What's been the problem?
Well, Tasmania's been wanting to have a team as a foundation state for 30 years, and they were granted the 19th licence for the Australian Football League for the AFL.
Which is pretty exciting.
Which is exciting for the state, because they've always wanted a team. They've seen all their talent come over here to Melbourne and to other states, and they've really wanted their own team with the, you know, the big map of Tassie in the middle and the Devils mascot. But the condition of having a...
By the way, what a horrible mascot.
Oh, I think it's great, Roman. I'm all for it. A good Aussie mascot instead of a US sort of NFL mascot. So they got their licence, but it was provisional on having a stadium in Hobart. And this is where it's got tricky, because there's a view amongst some Tasmanians that they don't need a stadium. Why can't the Devils...
Well, the North doesn't want the South to spend all that money, right?
Well, the AFL is spending money on the North because Launceston's going to get upgraded at the same time as building the new stadium, and they're guaranteed 3 to 4 games a year. So they've done the right thing. They've said we'll still share the team between Hobart and Launceston, like, you know, the Green Bay Packers used to play in Milwaukee and Green Bay.
And the AFL has said no stadium, no team, but the AFL has been accused of not putting in enough cash for this stadium. I often wonder, is this a story about politics, or is it a story about things cost too much to build in Australia these days?
There's two things going on. One is the AFL has pledged $360 million and Anthony Albanese $240 million. So this is 600. This is significant. And the AFL has said we won't put it all into Hobart and the stadium. We'll put it into the High Performance Centre. We'll upgrade Penguin and Burnie and Ulverston and training for young girls and boys. So the AFL's actually tried to do the right thing, but now it's getting blamed for not putting enough money into the stadium, ironically.
So where does it end? Because if there has been this vote of no confidence, we're now talking about a snap election in Tasmania. If Labor were to win, what happens to the stadium and what happens to the footy team?
Well, the thing is that the opposition leader, Dean Winter, supports a stadium and the team. Rebecca White, when she was opposition leader, didn't, and that's where the tension grew. Rebecca White lost the election, lost her job. She's now a federal politician. Dean Winter's come in and said, no, I support the stadium and the team. So you go to an election, if Jeremy Rockliff is returned or if Dean Winter wins, both the major political parties, Liberal and Labor, support the stadium, and support the team.
Now you've got Brendan Gale, who's CEO of the Tassie team, on your new program, Footynomics. Talk to us about, I guess, his viewpoint through all of this, because it's a pretty tricky place for him to be. He's either going to be the CEO of the 19th team or the CEO of nothing.
Well, he's taken on the job. He's been CEO of Richmond, very successful CEO. He's been CEO of the AFL Players Association in a very successful collective bargaining era. So he's taken on this job as a favourite son of Tasmania to see the team through. So I think from his point of view, and Grant O'Brien, on the chairman of the club, also on Footynomics, their view is we're going to build for the team no matter who wins the election. We're going to have to be above politics, and to basically, you know, present our vision for young Tasmanians, for future generations to have their own team and all the infrastructure around it.
And it is worth mentioning that it isn't just a no confidence motion about what's going on in the football world, but also, I mean, Tasmania's had all sorts of chaos, including the Spirit of Tasmania, which is over budget, delayed. The ships are sitting in another country at the moment because the government didn't organise for the port to be extended, as has been covered pretty widely up there in Devonport, the Melbourne to Tasmanian Spirit of Tasmania. This government's been in trouble for a while. It's one of the last bastions of Liberal in the country.
Yeah, at one stage they were the only government until the CLP won in Darwin and in Brisbane. The LNP came back in. So it's been surviving as a minority government. As you know, the Tasmanian Hare-Clark electoral system, 35 seats, proportional representation, very hard to get a majority. If it goes to an election, which it probably will, it'll be very hard for the Labor opposition to win an election. But I think that Dean Winter has seen the 70% two-party preferred vote that Anthony Albanese got at the federal election. He probably thinks it's ripe for Labor now, but he doesn't want to be blamed with hurting the Tasmanian Devils in the stadium in the process.
No, of course. And now talk to us about footynomics. We have seen you as the airport economist here on Ticker. You've been travelling around everywhere. You have been from Brunei, of course, through to India, Taiwan as well. But now footynomics, what's the hope with the show?
Look, I wrote footynomics because I like sport, thinking it'd be a bit of fun, but it's actually, I realise it's a big economic issue and a big political issue, as we've seen. And even when I was at Austrade, when we worked on the Sydney Olympics and the London Olympics and Brazil, the World Cup in soccer and rugby union, I found increasingly we're seeing diplomacy, economics, trade intertwined with sport. So that's why I came up with the idea for footynomics, which is now on Ticker.
Which is now on Ticker, and great to have you here. Looking forward to the first episode, of course, and such a big topic to kick off with as well. Always good to see you. Congratulations and good luck with the show.
And thank you, Aaron.
Of course.